Starzology, astrology with heart. Hi, Alison here again. Just doing a little bit of work on how I work with charts. Once they've been printed by Solarfire, how I actually go in and make the modifications that I want to on the chart. I put the house rulers in position in every place. So here we have Mars ruling Aries, Jupiter, Neptune ruling Pisces, and I'm going to go all the way around and put in all the chart rulers. And here we are now with all the actual chart rulers placed at the position of the house rulers. That's what I'm supposed to be saying. And this one here still needs its little bubble, right? Over here at the top of the chart I draw a circle with the quadrants in, and I count all the visible planets, so there will be a total of 7 altogether. And here we have 1 in here for the Mars, that's counting as 1. The 2 in that quadrant is Saturn and the Moon. Over here we have Jupiter and Venus as visible, so there's 2 there for the second quadrant, and the first quadrant contains the Sun and Mercury, so 2 goes in there. So this shows us that there is no specific emphasis either on hemisphere or on quadrant, and I'll just note that and leave it as such. The next thing is I'm going to be moving on to I'll do the grid here for the mode and the element, and we can go from there to see what's coming out in this chart. I'll be right back. So here we are now on the bottom of the page. I've drawn this grid. It's 4 columns by 3 rows. Fire, earth, air and water, cardinal, fixed, mutable. So these are the modes, these are the elements. And I'm now going to pick out the 7 visible planets from this chart and write their numbers in here. So we start here, we have the Sun in Taurus, so that is, of course, fixed earth. So I'll write a 1 there. Oh. Next up I have Mercury, fixed earth. So let's change that 1 to a 2. It's amazing how these things happen. Next to a 2, Venus in Gemini, that's mutable air, so that will be a 1. Jupiter in Leo, fixed fire, that's 1. Moon in Virgo, mutable earth, there's 1. Saturn in Sagittarius, mutable fire, so again a 1 there. Haven't ever got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, another 1. Oh yes, there it is. Mars in Aquarius, so that's fixed air. So we come along here, fixed air, we've got 1. So then I add all these up along the side. So the 0 cardinal, let's get my page on the page here. 0 cardinal, 4 fixed, 3 mutable. Adding up the columns here, so we have 2 fire, 3 earth, 2 air, 0 water. And I'll come back to that in a moment. So there we have the element count, the mode count, the total adds up to 7, whichever way you add it up, and that's what we're going for. From here I can now pull out the positive and the negative, or the passive and the active, and so the active are fire and air, so that's 4 going to be for them, and clearly the passive is 3. So again, there is no particular polarity emphasis because there's only 7, so that's how it splits. But over here we definitely have a lack of cardinality. We have a slight strength in fixed. In the elements we have absolutely no water, and our strong one is earth. So ultimately it's indicating fixed earth, which is of course Taurus, to be a prominent theme for this chart, although he's got Pisces rising, right? I'm now going to colour these in and highlight everything in yellow that interests me. The main thing is going to be the 2 chart rulers, Jupiter and Neptune. They will be highlighted in yellow everywhere on the chart. I'm going to get on that and I'll get back to you. So back to our chart now, highlighted in yellow. We've highlighted the fixed, we've highlighted the earth, nothing on the polarities. Moving over onto the chart ruler of Jupiter and Neptune, highlighted in yellow. Everywhere where Jupiter or Neptune occurs in the chart is now highlighted at the midheaven. This is Neptune's position right here in the 8th house and Jupiter's position here in the 6th house. Moving down now onto the aspect grid, which is the first time we've looked at this, Jupiter and again Neptune, because they are chart rulers, have been highlighted. Good. Moving on to the next piece, which is where we're actually going to be looking for major aspect patterns within the aspect central wheel. So I never ever put the symbols on these with the colours tell us exactly what it is. Oppositions are in black, squares are in red, trines and sextiles are in blue, yods are in green, and semi-sextiles. So I don't know if you can see it, but there is a grand cross in this man's chart right here, and I'm going to be highlighting that in red because it's huge. It's going across the whole of the chart. And over here I have drawn a small, in my notes section, I've drawn a small piece, and I will again colour this in red so I can see it on his chart. This is a note, it's very interesting, it's part of Mars. We actually have Neptune, therefore, as of course we now know, chart ruler is, going to get the yellow highlight. Yeah, get another pen. This is the Sun. Where's my pen? This is the Sun and Uranus. So a lot of powerful planets here, and this actually has a lot to say about this man's chart. What I shall be doing from here on in is actually just picking up this grand cross and colouring that in, and I'll be right back. So here we are again with my male client. I've covered up his name because it's privacy. This is an actual client of mine. So here's his grand cross, which is going to the 2 oppositions, the 4 squares. I will also go over to the aspectarian and colour the actual aspects in red that pertain to this grand cross. So it's Sun square Mars, which is this one here. There's the 1 square. We then have Mars square Neptune, which is this one here. We then have Uranus square Neptune, this one here, looking very tight at 0 degrees. And Sun square Uranus, which is this one here. So there I've picked up the 4 squares which are part of this grand cross. I'm also still looking for the 2 oppositions, so it's Mars opposition Uranus, so that's going to be this one here, that's the one we're going for there, and the other one is the Sun opposition Neptune, and that's over here. So these aspects are coloured in red because these are the ones that are part, these 6 aspects, the 4 squares and the 2 oppositions, are the aspects that are part of this grand cross. This is a main dialogue for this man, and it's a huge feature for a chart. It's one of the strongest, I would even say the most strongest major aspect pattern that you can have, and I've highlighted it here as well. Maybe it helps if I put it straight on the page. There we have it. So I'm just going to go back in and firm up my red over here, make it so I can see it, and we can see where we are on this chart for colouring in so that we can start to understand it. And I'm sorry I had the camera the wrong way for most of this, but anyhow, moving on. Now we've got the camera going the right way. I've also now picked up the point that the Chiron is the oriental planet, it's the one rising ahead of the Sun. I always note that because the oriental planet is my big deal. We've got 2 planets in mutual reception, Mercury and Venus. That means that Mercury is in Venus's sign and Venus is in Mercury's sign. Venus is in Gemini, Mercury is in Taurus. I also note that Saturn is most elevated, the planet closest to the midheaven, important planet in its own right. And I note the moon phase, which is gibbous. If you look here at the Sun going across, there's the moon position, gibbous, waxing gibbous, moving up towards the full. So there we actually have now all the colours that I'm going to be putting on this chart so that next time I pick it up, I can see straight away what's important about this man's chart. Maybe other things that can be added as well, but at the moment that's about where we're going to be. I'm sorry about the fact that I had the camera going the wrong way earlier on, but as I say, we're learning. Thanks so much.